Hello, everybody, and welcome to another SIG Windows meetup. Thank you all for attending. A couple of high-level updates, and then we'll dive into our meeting notes. So the first thing, for congratulations, you guys did it. We were able to finish every single PR in time for the code freeze. That includes the group managed service account PRs, the Windows Node PRs. We were able to do an update to the KEP that included all of the support, limitations, not supported features that got approved by Brian and Aaron as well. And we got our entire test grid to be green. Phenomenal to have green tests across GCP and Azure, and to a certain extent, almost all green in vSphere as well. A couple of things that came out of that. There's a couple of bug checks that Ben Moss have filed that stemmed from some of the vSphere testing, and Microsoft is following up on those. So stay tuned for more updates on that when we get them. And then we were able to send an email and get everybody educated on the fact that we're getting close to GA. That includes SIG architecture, who we are going to go to and ask for final approval on Thursday, as well as the folks from SIG release and the rest of the folks that are in charge of the CI signal and getting everything wrapped up and ready for our release. So kind of next steps is the 3/14th, where the SIG architecture meeting, we're going to try to get our final approval to go to GA. I've already started working on some marketing docs, and we created with Craig a section in the blog post for 1.14 to include the Windows node support. And more importantly, there's a whole bunch of you guys that are help contributing in our documentation to validate and that the entire feature set in Windows Node is well documented with step-by-step instructions for operators, for end users, as well as for the network administrator. If you guys do get a chance, the docs are already linked in the. I'll actually pull it back up. They were already linked in an earlier date for our in our meeting notes, but I'm going to post it in today's as well. Please, if you have a chance, go ahead and read the docs, provide comments. I know that Adelina have asked that someone from Cloudbase needs to look at the OVN, OVS section, especially around OVN Kubernetes, making sure that we have the right classification in there and the right instructions. So we definitely will appreciate that. Be aware that probably at the end of day, that docs update is going to be frozen and locked. And all your comments need to come to a PR. So we'll link the PR from that document once that's ready. But the time to add feedback that's easily changeable is today and right now. All right.
Yes.
The last part on this is there was one PR out of a bug that came up on Thursday at Code Freeze Day, and that was a mounting issue with SMB. We worked with SIG storage a little bit over the weekend, but mainly yesterday. It went through 4 or 5 iterations where we caught some bugs in the PR and suggested changes, but we're able to finalize that in. It was merged last night, and I'm attending SIG release later on to make sure that it's going to make it into our 3 for 1.14. The general guideline from SIG release is that anything that's milestoned in and merges now is very likely going to be approved and let in. Next Tuesday, it's the thaw day, and after that, cherry picks have to be manual. But even though cherry picks are not manual, still there's a risk with that PR. So I'm going to attend SIG release and validate that we're good to go there. Any questions on PRs or docs or anything else that's in our pipeline right now? All right, cool. Yeah, don't forget, read the docs. All right, let's talk a little bit about the testing update. I know that we had a few tests that failed the other day. Adelina, you want to talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so basically there was a timeout in the 114 tests. We know they're linked to one of the nodes going down. It just went not ready state. Basically, Docker didn't answer. I preserved that cluster. I investigated, still trying to correlate that Docker failure with something. But after a manual reboot of the node, while the test were running, sorry, after the test finished running, the kubelet started. So basically, I'm on the lookout if I ever see anything like that until we figure out what's happening with Docker, in which conditions it misbehaves. If I see any node is not ready, I'll intervene manually, and with the Jinko flakes, the test will be rerun.
Well, the one risk there is anytime you intervene manually, maybe we're masking a failure. So it's very important to understand why something fails. I mean, we should intervene manually so we can get the test to be green, but we should definitely understand why something is failing and is requiring manual intervention.
So it was Docker on the node. I'm pretty sure at this point the Docker failed. I didn't see any dumps. I didn't see anything like that. I'm pretty sure there was a failure somewhere on the node in Windows. I'm still looking in syslogs to correlate it. However, the logs for the kubelet were clean. I mean, there was no prior failure with anything to spawn. The only thing it had in the logs was that PLEG not ready. That's
we're seeing this as well on our clusters periodically. I'm actually troubleshooting it this morning.
But it's, again, we had this issue a while back. This is linked to Docker. It's not kubelet. It's not. So for example, in Flannel, I've never seen this.
Okay.
And there we have. Then again, the Docker version, it's different on Flannel. It's installed manually.
I'm still trying to understand how it all works, but something that could be involved is the connection. There's the Docker Shim client that's in kubelet, and then there's a Docker Shim server that's also running in kubelet, and they're communicating over a named pipe on Windows. This is as far as my debugging got to today, but I was I actually didn't know how all of this worked before. Yeah, I don't have any finger to point, but yeah, that's where I've gotten to in understanding this bug.
And with regards to the other test, the max container backoff test that has 2 recent failures that even slipped through the flake attempts. So when we we changed the test for that, we made it pretty clear why we need that specific change to improve the passing rate on AKS engine with Azure CNI. So this test is a problem only on AKS engine with Azure CNI because the way Azure CNI works. It's just a bit slower in in spawning a pod. So in preparing a pod for networking and so on and so forth. It's just with Azure CNI. So for example, and Patrick made this abundantly clear even in the PR and in discussions. So for example, if you look on GCE or in vSphere, even in Flannel, that test has no problems.
Got it.
It's strictly related to Azure CNI. It has nothing to do with...
This is a crash bag of tests, right? Not is that the ones that you're talking about that we did 2 PRs on?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It will still flake. Once in a while, it will still flake.
Okay.
Um,
Did that pass in staging? I know Patrick was waiting for all of that to pass in staging because before he promotes them to regular pass. Did that pass or not yet?
it passed in stage, so it was passing in staging. We promoted it. So, for example, if you look in staging, that test worked like for the last I don't know 10 runs.
Okay.
Then again, on master, it worked 10 runs, then it failed 2 times in a row. It's just flaky. But again, it's because of the way Azure works, Azure CNI works. We did with those PRs all we can to minimize the flakes. The PRs on the test is just how it works. I am testing and staging the new Azure CNI, and then slowly promoting it. Maybe that's behaving better, but I want to be absolutely sure that it works before I end up putting a bunch of reds on the board.
Got it.
But as I said, in any discussion, this is only on because of Azure CNI and AKS engine. The rest have no problems. And regarding testing, I do have one question. I see on vSphere they're starting to be all green. So I guess most of the problems, the flakes have been solved, and on GC, I guess, as well. Do you guys use flake attempts?
Yeah, we use 10 flake attempts right now.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. We only use 2.
That's a lot.
I was wondering on GC, because you said on GC your flakes are because usually nodes will go down, will reboot or something there, right?
Are you talking about on GC with
On
like
GC,
Peter?
yeah.
We haven't. We seem to have addressed or worked around the node rebooting failure for the time being. I don't know. Yuju probably knows if we run with flake attempts or not.
You don't. I just looked. That's why I was asking. Well, if you could add, I mean, if you still see any flaky tests, you might consider adding it. Just 2, so it's not it doesn't add too much penalty to the total time of the test. As I said, you might consider adding it, so you will have it all green. Though I see for the past couple of runs, it's okay. It's working okay.
Yeah, we can add it. We still have problems with the actual flakes with like our HNS creation sometimes. So we're trying to figure that out first before I think we'll try to figure that out before adding attempts, because that may actually mask the failures that we have.
Indeed. Okay. Well, that's all for me on the test. As I said, we're investigating that Docker failure, and I'll repeat it a million times with regards to that test that's failing, and it's very important for the right people to know it. It's just AKS, and it's from the CNI.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, about the failures you mentioned before. So I don't know why it failed with the plague not responding, but usually on Linux it just means Docker is really slow, not responding in time. That's so far the actual only cause I've seen on Linux. So it's worth checking whether Docker was actually functioning, responding at that time.
So yeah, that's what I said. I traced it to Docker because I saw it restarting. Sorry, the service restarting a couple of times. So I know it's Docker. I just don't know why yet.
Enable logging and just send us a log for the Docker engine logs.
I looked at the logs. Unfortunately, let me see if I can grab them again. Unfortunately, the Docker logs, so in the event log, there's not much in terms of a message. I just see let's get on to the meeting, and I'll paste it to see what I'm talking about, because I have to connect to that particular machine.
I have a node right now that's in this state, and like Docker responds just fine. Like if I use the Docker CLI, everything is like super fast, which makes me think it's like the Docker shim server is actually maybe the thing, or the client are somehow like hanging or just being really slow.
Possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys can take it offline and see if there's something that we can do to help there. By the way, reminder, no engineering stand-ups anymore. So we finished last week. That was a drive to get us to code free. So we don't need to have those anymore. All right. So there's a couple of things around issue triage really quickly. Who added the DNS conformance issue?
I'm sorry, which issue?
So I'm looking at our docs. Someone, let me share my screen here as well. So someone added under issue triage DNS conformance.
I think this is the networking tests that are targeted for being promoted to conformance, some of which might not pass Windows.
It's probably Claudio. If you can please open it.
Yeah, I'm opening that right now.
Oh,
you know what? I added this. So I added this because I wanted to talk about it after Claudio commented. So I guess the biggest thing here is to make sure that we stay on top of it, so that they are passing on Windows, and then I'm assuming that Delina, you and Claudio are going to basically monitor if new tests are added to conformance, would you be notified? And if they not passing on Windows, at least go back and let them know that they should be following a specific processes?
Yeah. So this one will never pass on Windows the way it is right now. So that's why Claudio advised to just add Linux only on it.
Okay.
So who's the authority on who decides like which tests get promoted to conformance, and who proposed this?
There's a SIG conformance. I don't know if they decide any of that stuff in that meeting group or not. But I would believe that individual SIGs can say, hey, we added a new test and we think it will be very valuable to add it to conformance, and they might actually do it themselves. I'm pretty sure that that's how it usually works. So it's kind of hard to educate everybody to do that. That's actually a good note. I'll add it to my notes. I'm presenting to the community meeting in a couple of weeks, so I'll add the note here around tests. If you add conformance tests, talk to us.
But David, can you precisely tell me why will this not pass on Windows?
This is like, for example, the DNS resolution that uses etc hosts, or the DNS resolution that we took, we split up the DNS tests, for example.
I think we should bring this to
partial.
I think we should bring this to Talkin in the next SIG network meeting and tell them that basically, I think it's driven by SIG network, in my opinion, because there was a discussion on that we need to add these tests to conformance in one of the SIG network meeting. So let's bring it there and then tell them that, hey, just make it Linux only for now, and then once we add those things, we'll add it.
So the history of this test was that we now have 3 DNS tests. They were all in one conformance test. We split them for partial domain names, fully qualified domain names, and the etc hosts. They were all in the same test. And now, basically, it makes sense that they're trying to promote it, to move it back into conformance, because we split them.
No, but there was a clear discussion, Adelina, when this happened like 6-7 months ago. We clearly said we took this to SIG network, and they basically they approved this. We had to remove it from conformance, and we split them, right? I think we should pull up the agenda meetings and meeting notes and talk to them again. There was a clear decision that these are not conformance tests. So I think.
Okay. All right. So in the interest of time, I'm going to take an action item that here that Dinesh and David will talk to SIG network about this.
Yes.
And the fact that this may not be a conformance test.
Yes.
Okay, but I will also take the action item to educate everybody that if they are going to add new tests, they should let us know. Whether they do that or not is remains to be seen, but at least we'll be identifying it through failed tests. That's if they don't do it proactively, it will happen reactively. All right, the last item is Kubernetes login on Windows. So I don't know exactly who posted it because I don't see the full name here.
So he's Sachin from Microsoft.
All right. So basically, the post was around logging, right? So it's a very valid request here. So in AKS, you can get all the logs, but if you're running natively on vSphere, for example, what options do we have around all of the logging that happens in Kubernetes? Is there? We only have a couple of minutes. Is there anybody that's willing to experiment on this and bring some proposals in a future meeting? Anybody that wants to own this? Is Sachin on our call, by the way, at all?
He mentions AKS. I'm wondering if he means AKS engine in this post. I don't want to get confused here with the managed service, which isn't running Windows. Just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of confused on what he's talking about, what he's trying to do. Like, is it just talking about log forwarding in general?
Yeah, I think that's what he wants. He wants log forwarding.
Yeah, like there's FluentD that works on Windows, so you could use something like that. I think it's just a matter of configuring it.
Ben, you want to reply to him? You don't need to tell him how to do it. Just tell him. I don't want to, since you're recommending it, just tell him, hey, just use Windows.
Yeah, I consider replying. I was just like, I don't even know what he's trying to do.
But ask him the following thing. If he does get it to work, to come back and post some documentation on that, right?
Sure.
And actually, a good point on that is I'll add a section, TBD, in our docs around logging and log forwarding. And Craig and I will figure out if we can have someone to fill that in at some point.
Yeah, we should definitely add it to the docs when we have it figured out.
Cool. All right. That's all the stuff that I have today. We probably have time for one quick question, and then I need to jump to SIG release.
I'll just add one point. At the end, he talks about log rotation. I'm guessing that doesn't actually happen on Windows. Is that what he's getting at as well? FluentD won't do the log rotation. Well, it can, but there should probably be some other log rotator set up, just in case.
Yeah, on GC, as we are just doing our own log rotation right now. It would probably be easier if we can just feed the logs into the Windows event logs so that we don't have to come up with some custom solution for that.
If you feed those logs into Windows event logs, it would just populate it like crazy. It might not be a scalable solution.
Yeah, stuff like NSSM, which I know Azure is using, and we're using a different thing for vSphere, but they'll handle like the rotation and truncation, at least they can.
I look at NSSM, but it says that use it with caution. Like we don't guarantee anything. This might very well crash your application, so we stop it there.
All right.
Like better suggestions, and we're happy to switch to using that as well.
Okay, I'll talk to Craig and we can see if we can get someone to actually hunt down all the options and give us a good recommendation that we can give as a community and figure out from there where we can go.
Let's put an item in the project board.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right, cool. Well, thank you all for attending. Thank you all for your hard work. Please look at the docs again, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Sorry for the delay in joining. I'll try to figure it out what happened for next time.
Cool. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.